Hey everyone, I'm Matt.
Hi, I'm Desiree.
And we're bringing you this week's Rising Tide West Coast Swing Guide.
This week on the guide, we are starting a brand new series on root patterns. Now, what is a root pattern in West Coast Swing dance? It's a pattern that we were taught often in our beginner classes as a basic or fundamental. Probably you were taught your left or right side pass, a push break and a sugar push, and some variation or multiple variations on a whip when you first began dancing. And that was all great, and that's how we viewed West Coast Swing dance. Then, when we got into our intermediate or advanced classes, we were shown all these new patterns. Well, we want to demystify that sometimes overwhelming process for you by showing you that new patterns, fancy patterns with variations, are often built upon our basics, our root patterns, from which all other patterns grow. So, this series is about us getting a little creative, fusing one basic pattern with another or more, and then showing how you too can start to experiment with these patterns or break down those fancy patterns when you're shown them. So for tonight, we're going to wed a pass, an underarm turn with a whip. We'll show you what these moves add to, and then break it down lead follow. First, we start with the right side pass. We add on to that a whip. But instead of dancing them as two separate patterns, we fuse them together.
Breaking this down for our leaders. We're starting out pretty much like an underarm turn, but because we want to turn the follower a little bit sooner, I'm giving Desiree a little bit of what we call a U-turn lead. That's where we're literally making kind of this U-turn shape with our left hand as we go through the underarm turn. This gets Desiree's back to face me just a little bit sooner. Once her back is facing me, I'm going to place the back of my hand on her back so that as she finishes this rotation, her back will nicely flip into my shoulder blade, or into my hand, so I'll catch her shoulder blade, and we can finish this out like the regular whip. One cautionary note for leaders, lots of times with this pattern in particular, we don't mind our arm spacing because we're almost thinking underarm turn and then we catch too late. We want to make sure that we keep the follower in nice and close so that we don't get overextended here on this whip moment. So that's not super comfortable for either of us.
All right, for our followers, the biggest thing we need to be prepared for is thinking a little bit outside of the box, right? These are patterns fused together. So we don't want to be thinking, I know a right side pass and I know what to do with my feet and my body in that right side pass at all times, no matter what. Instead, we want to be open to the fact that the connection could change. The leaders could add variety to the pattern work. So as we go through just a regular right side pass, at any moment my leader could offer me a different hand. Maybe that's a basket whip, right? Or my leader could catch the back. Maybe that's this variation. Or my leader could do just a regular right side pass. And it's my job to fill the space the leader gives and to figure out how I can use the connection either to follow it or manipulate it. We won't get into manipulation right now. We'll think about following it. So when the leader gives me this underarm turn with the variation, I'm going to use this new connection point as my guide since it's the one closest to my body. So followers, don't get tripped up by a change here. Remember your basic technique in West Coast Swing, which is to follow the connection you've been given until redirected, and to also know that the connection point is the one closest to your body, and if that changes, to mind the new connection point. We'll dance this for you through. Nice frame for the underarm turn. Following through with your movement and this new connection point is going to help you dance this move beautifully.
That was your guide. Thank you everyone for tuning in. You can check us out online at mattdavisSwing.com. We're also on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter as Rising Tide Swing Dance Studio.
See you next week.